Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'm Robin Craig, and you're watching Robin Craig Live, broadcasting from my hometown, Houston, Texas. I am so excited because we got rain over the weekend. Yes, it was Christmas. Of course it was Christmas, but the rain is good whenever it comes. It's so funny because you guys who watch the show regularly have heard me say all summer long, we're in a drought. We cannot get a drop of rain. I even had to start watering the foundation of my house. I didn't even know that you were supposed to do that. I kind of found out the hard way when I saw a crack in the stucco in one of my rooms. So as we're approaching the holiday, the weather is saying 90% chance of rain on Christmas Eve and 50% chance of rain on Christmas. And everyone immediately started growling and snarling and saying, oh my gosh, it's going to ruin the holiday. And it's like, it's not going to do anything. None of us are going to melt. I know sugar melts, but none of us melted and we got wet, so whatever that means. But I hope you guys did make it through the holidays. It was really sad and difficult to look at all of the posts that the widows and the widowers were making. And it was just it's just hard. The holidays are hard. There's no other way to say it because holidays are about friends and family and being around the people that you love. And when the people you love are gone, the holidays just lose the flavor. And I was happy because this is my 6th year of widowhood, my 7th set of holidays, and I think that this was the first year that was actually really good for me. And I think it's for a number of reasons. Partly it's about the fact that I've been going long enough that I've adjusted to my new normal and I've gotten beyond the worst part of the grief, which Lord knows it takes a while. And secondly, I really felt a need to see family. We talk so much among the widowed community about how family members and friends as well often desert you when you really need them the most. You really want to be surrounded by your friends and family, and you want people to call and check on you and to say, I know it's the holidays, it's probably a sad time for you, are you okay? But people get so caught up in their celebrations, they really do kind of forget about us, and we can't get angry about that. But I would like to encourage everybody watching the show to think about people you know who have lost a loved one and maybe to be there for them, because sometimes it helps us to step out of ourselves and to look toward others. And when we make others feel happy, we in essence make ourselves feel happy. So tonight I'm excited because New Year's weekend is just right here on us, and I'm excited because we have a chance to start anew. There's something magical about the 1st of January where the last year is gone and we've got 365 days to recreate ourselves and to work at creating the life that we really want to love, not necessarily the life that was just handed to us, but to take that and to alter it and to make it into something really special where we can feel really proud of ourselves that we really worked hard and we pushed forward and we can see the fruits of our labors. So I'm going to be talking to Tom Zuba, my favorite widower. I love him to pieces. But first, it's time for the Critter Update. Now, you guys know last week I was so excited to get my Critter Girl t-shirt from Nyla and Julia, who both happen to be in the chat room. Hey girls, glad to see ya. And I have loved that shirt so much, and it was so funny when I caught my 8th possum. They all have a name that starts with P. Love the sound of Pete the possum, Penny the possum. Well, the last one was Prancer. I figured he needed a P name, and it was so close to Christmas, that little guy should have a name like Prancer. Plus, he was quick on his feet. So I was excited to put on my Critter Girl shirt and to post the pictures on Facebook. And everybody kept saying, Robin, that's so funny that you're having so much fun with them. And I said, honey, it's all part of my widowhood empowerment, because when I caught the first one, I walked around to the back of the house, and in the far corner, I saw fur, and I wouldn't even walk over there. I was so deathly afraid. I wouldn't even walk anywhere near the cage to even identify what was in it. I just called my friend who loaned me the cage and said, you have got to come right now. There's something furry in the cage. And next thing you know, my neighbor says, hey, let's take them down to the reservoir and we'll release them. And I find that throughout my widowhood, people say things to me, and I have my mouth open to say, oh, there's just no way, you might as well forget it. But I stop myself because I realize that it's up to me to figure out things, and that I know I have a lot more capabilities and a lot more power than I ever thought that I did. So it's special to push yourself forward and try something you've never done. And then when you're successful, I'm telling you, the success feels so great, and it encourages us to move forward and to try the next thing. And next thing you know, we're just doing all kinds of stuff that we never dreamt possible. So I'm really excited that the last possum went down to the reservoir. I do have to say, I did hear a little bit of noise in my attic the night that Prancer went away. So a neighbor of mine said that he caught a raccoon. I mean, obviously it's something going on in the neighborhood, but maybe it was a raccoon that went to the wrong house and got caught down there. I don't know, but stay tuned because I'm all over it, and whatever it is, I'm going to catch it, and I'm going to take my picture in my Critter Girl shirt, and I'm going to post it on Facebook. So if you're not my Facebook friend, please follow me on Facebook and Twitter. You'll find me under my name, Robin Craig. Twitter, it's Robin_Craig. But I'd love to have you follow me so we can get to know each other more, and I can learn more about you. And if you have any show ideas and that kind of thing, I'm more than happy to put it out there for you. Um, you guys know how I love looking at the paper and finding little stories. Did you guys see the story about people who were going into Kmart and Target, and they were paying off the layaway for different people who they didn't even know? And there were a couple of people, when the person was in there, they actually went to pick up their layaway, and the person looks at him and says, I'm paying this for you. And people just burst into tears. And I thought that was so beautiful. There's so many ways to help people, and there's so many people who need help. But you pretty much know that when people put things in layaway, it's because they don't have enough money to get it. So to think it's Christmas and you go to pick up your layaway, or some people even got a phone call saying, hey, your layaway's paid off. They just all were so happy, and several people said, I'm going to take the money that I was going to get my layaway out with, and I'm going to get someone else's out. So I love that, and it's clearly the time of year when we can all look to others and figure out ways to help people and to put a smile on their face. So I absolutely loved that story. Now, tonight, I want to get Tom Zuba on the phone, first of all. I've already got him connected. Hey, Tom, are you there?
I'm here, Robin.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Great. You're on Robin Craig Live. You've been hearing me speak.
Yes, absolutely.
And tonight we're talking about a new year and a new you, a new life. But I wanted, first of all, to address this issue about people having a craving to see their families. I shared with you on the phone earlier today that one reason why I had such a great Christmas is because I surprised my sister and showed up with a friend with a ready-made Christmas party. I mean, we took everything. I took food, I did all of my baking, took presents. That was really a fun thing to surprise a family member. And then I also went to see my husband's family. And I've not seen my mother and father-in-law or my sister-in-law in about 2 years. And we had the most wonderful time. It was so great. And as I read on Facebook, I thought, so many people are saying the same things, just missing the family. Their children are missing their extended family, but because the husband or the wife died, the other side of the family just kind of goes away. Tom, what do you have to say about that?
Well, this is what I've observed. I've observed it in my own family, and I've observed it in families of so many people that I work with. For whatever reasons, in our country, there are certain feelings and there are certain emotions that we've deemed appropriate, and there's very, very few. It's okay for us to feel happy. It's okay for us to feel sad, and it's okay for us sometimes angry. But that's about it. And when someone that we love dies, and I'm talking about the whole extended family,
Yes.
I think that it's such a confusing, overwhelming time that most people are, for whatever reasons, they're either unwilling or they're unable to feel all the feelings and all the emotions that are exploding inside of them.
Yes.
So what most people do is they emotionally shut down. They repress and they deny and they pretend. And sooner or later, usually sooner, there's a crack. Something sets someone off. Something ticks someone off, and the safe feeling to go to is anger,
Yes.
because anger, it fuels us.
Yes.
There's an active energy with anger where it kind of makes us feel a little bit more alive maybe than we used to. So for
Yes.
whatever reasons, it seems like the default emotion after someone dies is to go right to anger. And, the divisions occur within families, and they last for a long, long, long time. And as you said, very, very, very often, it's me. It's me, the person who's grieving, the person whose spouse has died, that has to make a decision. Am I going to move towards that family member who has, quote, hurt me or, quote, abandoned me or, should have treated me a certain way? Am I going to move towards that person and begin to build a bridge? Or am I going to remain isolated and alone and just allow the division to grow deeper and grow stronger and the separation continues? It's an odd position that we find ourselves in, but I think, when we need people the most people run away from us. And the way that I look at it is that it's a real sign of our own healing. Yes. When we're able to look outside of ourselves and build a bridge to someone else. And
yes.
It sounds like, that you did some of that this holiday season, and I did some of that this holiday season as well.
Yes, it feels so great to do it, and I think what we find is that everybody is grieving in a different way. We're perhaps grieving over the same person, but the relationship is different. And we all are grieving in our own way. And something can happen or nothing can happen, but somebody gets something stuck in their head and they start to react on it. And if we just let it go, then we just feel sad and the relationships become more and more and more distant. And I had just decided that this Christmas I wasn't going to let that happen. And it felt so good to reach out to both sides of my family and to have a fabulous time. So I know it's touchy and I know that everybody's got to do their own thing, but I would like to encourage people to perhaps reach out to a family member that they're missing and to see if maybe they can get something going like I did, because it was great. Okay, now Tom, before we go on, I'm looking at the chat room and people were talking about what I was referring to, the story about the layaways being paid off at Target and Kmart. And Julia said her son found envelopes of cash. Someone left it downtown with instructions for whoever found it to pass out the envelopes of cash. I love that, Julia. How much money was in the envelopes, or were they sealed up? Does your son even know? I think that is the most wonderful, wonderful idea. She said someone just left it on a bench with the instructions. That is like the coolest thing to do. I also saw on yahoo.com that a man found 2 casino envelopes loaded with cash. The amount was not disclosed, but he went ahead and flew home, and then he wanted to teach his kids to do the right thing. He called the airlines, told them what he had found. They connected him with a man in El Paso, Texas, who had reported having lost the cash. Isn't that great? It feels so great to do something wonderful. I absolutely love that. Oh, and I see Cheryl in the chat room says the best that she has done is to pay the toll road fees for people behind her. Cheryl, that is so great. I absolutely love that. And, you know, it's not always about the amount of money, it's just the thought that someone is doing something nice for you. So maybe we should all think about doing that over the next week or two. Just look for any nice little thing that we can do for anybody, because it feels good to get out of our sadness or sorrow and to look to others. We're spreading cheer, and then it just seems to magnify. That is so beautiful. So, okay, so here we go, Tom. Now we're talking about it is a new year, it is a new life. And a lot of us were happy with the old life we had, but it went away. And we don't have to like it, but we do have to accept it. That's one of the first things that a widow from my church told me. Robin, you must accept that your husband's dead. And it's so weird because before she finished her sentence, in my head, I'm going, no, I don't. I don't have to accept it. I'm not going to. And then I realized how stupid that was, because I knew my husband was gone. And when I did accept that he was gone, I went to a deeper level of grief. But I believe you have to go to that deeper level of grief before you can surface. Otherwise, you're just sort of pushing it back only to have it surface perhaps when there's another family death, or maybe something bad happens. So Tom, I was looking at some of the things that you commented on before we get to your top 10 list.
Okay, can I ask you something before?
Sure.
I really, really liked what you just said. And I'm wondering if you can remember approximately how long did it take you until you were able really, really, really to, accept and acknowledge and let in the truth of the matter that your husband was dead? Do you remember?
Well, after I spoke to that widow, I realized, so I mean, really within just a few weeks, I was having to say, Robin, he's gone. Face it, girlfriend, he's gone. You need to figure out what you have to do. So I think if I hadn't had that phone call, I think it might have gone on for an extended period.
Okay,
But
because I want to share with everyone that my first intimate experience with a death was when my 18-month-old daughter died. And I would say it probably took me 2 or 2.5 years, 2 or 2.5 years before I just really surrendered to the truth that she was dead and that she wasn't coming back. And I'll give you an example. I remember 2 years after she died, I was out for lunch, and when I came back for work, my secretary put a little slip on my paper that my father had called me, and my first instinctual response was, my dad has found Aaron. My dad's found my daughter.
wow.
I still hadn't really accepted it on that deep level.
Wow.
So, I just want folks to be aware that it took me well over 2 years to really grasp it.
Well, and as we well know, the time period for everything is different from one person to another. And so I think, with me, I live alone. The majority of my family predeceased my husband. And so I think it just hit me right away. Man, you got to snap. You got to get everything together. You got to go back to work. I went back to work producing television the third week afterwards, and it was crazy. So yeah, but acceptance is really huge. Thank you for that. Let me see here. Hang on one second. I'm getting a little note here. All righty. Very good. Thank you, Nyla. Nyla sent me a little sweet note. Thank you very much for that. Excellent. Okay, here we go. Now we are talking about how to create a new year. New Year's is going to be sad for people, and people I know they've laughed at my stories. It wasn't funny at the time, but when I look back, like so often, as is the case with life, I see things and I go, God, that was really crazy. So I know for the first few New Year's, I was just like hibernating. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't care to see people having fun. And the last thing I wanted to see was people kissing their loved one at midnight. I thought, I so don't want that. So by about the fourth year, I was still like, you know what? I do not want to deal with this. I'll just go to bed early. I do not want to watch TV. I don't care when the ball drops in New York. Well, I forgot that I live outside the city limits. And as soon as I lay down, the fireworks began, and it sounded like shooting for at least an hour or 2 hours. And I was so miserable. I just laid there in my bed miserable, thinking, oh, I wish the fireworks would go away. But here we go again. We're coming up on another New Year. And so we have to think, New Year's Eve is one thing, but what do we do to crank up our New Year, and how do we start it off? So, Tom, I liked the initial writing that you had, that you said these words were from your friend, Zeri Zukov, and the book he's written called The Seat of the Soul. And it says the effort that you apply to each decision to align yourself with your soul is rewarded many times. I love that expression, aligning yourself with your soul. The part of yourself that reaches toward light may not be the strongest part of you at the moment that you choose to journey toward authentic power consciously, at the moment that you choose the vertical path, but it is the part that the universe backs. Tom, why does the universe back us when we align ourselves with our soul?
Because we were each born for a very specific reason. And the way that I describe it is, it's as if the universe, all of the energy that we're part of, I kind of envision them as a squad of cheerleaders. And the cheerleaders have a better understanding of exactly why I was born. They know what I came here to do. And whenever I lean in the direction of fulfilling my purpose, of becoming my destiny, they're all cheering me on. It's like I can hear, go Tom, go, go Tom, go. So whenever I reach for the light, whenever I yearn or try to become all that I was meant to become, there's this huge chorus of energy, or this huge wave that just like pushes me forward and accelerates the effort and the energy that I put into becoming who I was born to be. It's very, very exciting.
Yes. Yes, it is, Tom. And, for those of you who don't know Tom, I've had him on the show several times, but he lost his 18-month-old baby girl. He lost his 43-year-old wife suddenly and unexpectedly. And then he was a single father of two boys, and he lost his son, Rory, who was 15, and he died from brain cancer. So Tom has had to recreate himself through three major losses. And Tom, I have always told you how much I love and appreciate your attitude, because when it really gets down to it, we know that life brings tragic circumstances and not one of us is exempt. But you are so right in that it is exciting to think that we can recreate ourselves and we can take the lessons from the tragedies and turn them around and to become really special people. I love that.
I made a very, very conscious decision that the death that I lived through, and if people are interested, they can go to my website. It's tomzuba.com
Yes, I'm gonna
and
put that out.
read more about my past. But the deaths that I lived through were so catastrophically unbelievable that I didn't want to waste them. I knew at a really, really deep significant was occurring in my life.
Mm.
And I wanted to make peace with my life.
Yes.
I felt like I had experienced so much pain, just the depths of the dark, dark, dark hole. I thought, I can't do this anymore. I literally, I must make peace with my life. And that set me on the journey that,
Yes.
has brought me to this
Yes.
very day.
Yes.
And if there are people listening, saying that my wife just died or my husband just died, and with the passing of another year, that I'm that much farther away from the time when they were with me, and I
Yes.
don't want it to be 2012.
Yes.
I want it to be 2009 when they were alive. Believe me, I understand all of that.
Yes.
Because I was there.
Yes.
I was there. And then the pain got to be so great that I needed to make another choice.
Yes. Yes. And I tell people all the time that, we cry and we cry and we cry and we cry so hard and we feel physically sick and exhausted and our eyes are swollen this big. And it's so horrible that we can't keep that up forever. We do it where it seems like forever, but we reach a point where we say, you know what, this is not working for me. I got to turn it around and do something different. I've got to have happiness, and I've got to take the lessons and turn it into something great. So, Tom, one thing that you recommend.
Can I interject one thing?
Sure.
But the truth of the matter, Robin, is that there are many, many, many people who never leave that place, who never move into peace and joy and happiness. All they do is cling to darkness and sadness and depression and why me and why me. There are many, many people that's what they cling to. And I knew that because I saw them. I've seen them my whole life. And I thought, as God is my witness, I am not going to become one of those people. And it's a choice that we make. And my thoughts are, 2012 is almost here, and there's all of this energy of change and transformation and resolutions and new life. Why not dive right into that energy and commit to creating a new life right now? It's the perfect time to do it.
Yes. I'm with you completely, and that's why I wanted to do the show and to have you come on to help people be prepared going, it is a new year, and let's see if we can make something great out of it. Now, one of the things that you recommend is set the intention to heal, even if you don't believe healing your broken self is possible, especially if you don't. Repeat the phrase, I am healing, as often as you can. Let it become your mantra. I love that. I love that.
I so clearly remember, Robin, after my son Youre died. Now, keep in mind, this was the third time I had done it over the course of 20 years. So I was a veteran. But after he died, with every drink of water, I would say to myself, I am healing. I am healing. So it was if I was literally pouring liquid healing into my body.
Yes.
Now, did I believe in those first couple of days, in those first couple of weeks, in those first couple of months that I was actually healing? I wasn't positive. I wasn't sure that I could heal a third time.
Yes.
But I knew that there's something about shifting the energy. So I said those words anyway, and I hoped and I prayed that I was healing, and eventually, I did heal. So it does. It begins with, we can call it an intention, we can call it a resolution, we can call it with a new belief. It's put on the jacket of healing. Commit to it. That's the first step.
Yes, it is.
If you don't believe you can heal, I promise you won't.
Yes, our words words are very powerful, and the spoken word is very powerful. And if you walk around just saying, I'm sick, I feel bad, you'll wind up in the bed.
That's what you're going to create for yourself. I
Yes.
promise you.
Yes, so I agree with that. So the first thing we're going to do is just to say, I am healing, and to say it over and over and over. I love that. Okay, the second thing, commit to active mourning. I define mourning as going public with your grief, the internal, automatic response to loss. Make the effort to find a therapist, a support group, a grief buddy, because healing occurs when you find a safe place where you can excavate, explore, and express your grief in the presence of others. Being stoic, pretending, repressing, rejecting, ignoring all that wells up inside of you is not a path to healing. Mourning in the presence of others is a path to healing. I like that, Tom, and that's so great. And you know, social media, so many people that are in the chat room. And Diane, hi, I'm glad to see you too, sweetie. So many people, we're all connected on Facebook, and there are a lot of closed groups on Facebook. If you're watching the show and you don't know that, they're wonderful, safe places where you can connect with others who are having a similar experience and who are supportive of one another. And to just be able to talk and get it out. I love that, Tom.
Robin, I have a Facebook page. It's been up for a little over a year, and there are almost 1,500 people connected to that page, literally from all over the world, countries I have never heard of. And what I'm observing is there's a healing energy that is just swirling around the 1,500 of us.
Yes.
And it's a very safe, sacred space where people can identify and excavate everything that's occurring inside of them, which, as we know, grief expresses itself in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ways.
Yes.
But we can't, if we keep it inside of ourselves, then we will age before our time, and we will inevitably get sick because all of that crap that's inside of us, it needs to get out in one way or the other.
Yes.
So, yes, we must mourn. We must mourn and mourn and mourn and mourn and mourn. And it has to become our work.
Yes.
To just get it up and get it out.
Yes.
Until we don't have to do it anymore.
Yes, because we can't push it back and make it go away. We can only push it back and let it lie there until something else happens that causes it to surface again.
Absolutely.
And it's wonderful. I didn't know about bereavement groups or any of that thing when I was first widowed. And even when my family members died before my husband, I had no idea about that. I wasn't on Facebook. I was just like sitting by myself. I thought, well, where do you even go to find someone? And I'm surprised that nobody ever mentioned it. But if you're watching the show and you are grieving, grief buddies are great. We all know the Soaring Spirits Lost Foundation, and they will actually assign you a buddy where it's someone that's been widowed, or if it's a widower, about the same length of time. Maybe you've got the same number of children, and it's really comforting to be able to share where you are and to learn where your buddy is. So I think that's great. We have to actively mourn. I told you, I think before, Tom, that I have a girlfriend who says she did not grieve until 2 years, that she was not able to even cry for 2 solid years. And I thought all of that was embedded in her body, but she just couldn't get it out. So to actually allow yourself to mourn and grieve is beautiful. Okay, the next one is commit to creating a safe, sacred place for you and the people you love. A space where everybody gets to feel exactly what they feel. A space where every single corner of your being is loved and lovable by you and everyone you let into that space. A space where you are seen, heard, and honored. That's so beautiful. Most importantly, by yourself, and of course, by everyone you allow into that space. Okay, Tom, expound upon that a little bit for us.
Well, the truth of the matter is that I'm responsible for my own healing. And ultimately, I am the only one that knows what I need to heal. As much as I wish all the people in my circle knew what I needed, they can't read my mind, and they really don't know. I'm the only one that knows.
Yes.
And the bottom line is, I mean, the great teachers, the great mystics say it over and over again, that in the end, the only thing that really matters is love, and that love heals everything. So what this is about is it's not waiting for someone else to do it, because
Yes.
if we wait for someone else to do it, it'll never happen.
Yes.
We need to figure out a way to love every single corner of our being. The stuff that we consider appropriate and the stuff we consider inappropriate. We have to love all of it. And that's how we heal. That's what healing looks like. And
Yes.
very slowly and very carefully, we use our radar, we use our intuition, and we know safe people that we let into that space. Only people that love us the way that we want to be loved and the way that we need to be loved, particularly in the first weeks, months, years of grief. Only let the safe people in. Hold everyone else at bay. Our job is to heal, and it's important work.
It is. And I like this. I like the fact that you say to create a safe place, because there are so many people who don't understand how we feel, and they say things that are hurtful that cause us to withdraw when in reality we were trying to reach out.
Exactly. And I call those people ignorant innocence. And we could burn our wheels worrying
Yes.
about those people.
Yes.
They're ignorant,
Yes.
they're innocent. Push them off to the side for now. God bless them. Send them love from afar. But don't muddy the waters with them.
Yes, absolutely. Um, and it's sad because people hurt our feelings and we're so hurt and we want to be understood, but we have to realize people don't understand how we feel, and we have to be able to express ourselves. But we just need to be able to do it in a safe place, which is why all of these wonderful closed sites are on Facebook, because people can vent and say anything and know that the rest of the group is going to support you however you feel. And that's huge, because so often we feel really unsupported when we're sad.
I've got a list of my top 5 books, my all-time five books. And one of them is the book that you referenced at the top of the show. It's called The Seat of the Soul. The author's name is Gary Zukav. That book changed my life. I've read it at least 10 times. It's changed my life 5 or 6 times. But another book that's in my top 10 is called The 4 Agreements. And one of the 4 agreements is don't take anything personally, because anything that anyone says to me, it has nothing at all to do with me. It has everything to do with the person that's saying it. So if folks could just adhere to that agreement in 2012, that I'm going to take nothing anyone else says personally, they would spare themselves enormous pain.
Well, and I have to share with you, in the chat room, one of the gals has been nervous about dating, and she decided to step outside the box. She went out with a guy from school, and he said to her, if you ever lose 20 pounds, look behind you. I'll still be there. Tom, why do people say these things and hurt us? That's so mean.
Well, let me put it this way. There will always be ignorant, innocent people saying things like that. But I don't know who it was. Some wise person said, no one is going to hurt me anymore unless I allow them to. I get to
Yes.
decide if I believe what that person if I
Yes.
put any credence in what that person says.
Yes.
No one's going to hurt me unless I give them permission to.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So I hope you're listening in the chat room, because this guy that you went out with, I see what Nyla's saying, he clearly was a jerk. He clearly had no tact whatsoever, and he was clearly not the guy for you. But don't let him shut you down to keep you from moving forward, because I know, like all of us, you want companionship and you want someone to be nice. Yeah, so don't let this guy slow you down. Just write him off and go out with someone else. You're beautiful, honey. You're beautiful inside and out. And when you just happen to go out with someone that had no tact and said something mean, that's okay, because people say stuff mean about all of us every day. We just don't know it. You know,
There's another, all my books are coming out tonight. A third book of my top 5. It's a book called Radical Forgiveness. The author's name is Colin Tipping. And what he would say about that situation that you just referenced is that gentleman actually gave you the most precious, precious gift. And we actually need to get down on our hands and knees and thank him, because very early in the relationship, he showed you exactly who he is.
wow.
He shined a huge spotlight on himself. And in essence, what he said is,
Yes.
I am not the one for you.
Yes.
Don't waste any more of your precious time with me. So
Beautiful.
what do we say to him? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I hope you're hearing all this, because I'm telling you, it really is a gift when someone shows their true colors up front. It's worse when you've dated them for a long time and they've gotten your heart, and then they show their true self. So honey, you just look at that as a gift. Like Tom said, this guy is not for you, and keep going. Do not let him shut you down. You'll find somebody.
What Maya Angelou says is, when people tell you who they are, believe them the first time.
Yes, 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 and don't internalize what they say. It's like whatever.
What he said has nothing whatsoever to do with the recipient.
Yes.
It's a reflection of who he is.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's right. And you're right. I see she's just saying, I was just lonely, and everyone's lonely when you lose your spouse. You can't help but be lonely. Your companion, your lover, your business partner, your best friend, all of that is just gone. So loneliness comes with the territory, but don't let this one bad guy stifle your feelings, and don't stay home because of it. Just say, like Tom said, he wasn't for you. Write him off. There are plenty fish in the sea. Okay, all right, we're going to scoot along here. The next thing that Tom recommends for having a great new year and recreating yourself is commit to going outside and walking in nature every day. Even if it's only for 5 minutes and you have to force yourself to do it, just build up 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and just lose yourself in nature. Enjoy the trees, the animal, all of the scents, and try to feel yourself in your own body. Pay attention to your feet hitting the ground, the breeze on your face. It just helps you feel alive, doesn't it, Tom?
It does, it does.
Yes.
The truth of the matter is that, and this is the perfect time of year for so many of us, when you look outside and you think everything is dead. And
Yes.
so many of us right
Yes.
now may really feel dead, dead inside,
Yes.
particularly as the old year is ending and the new year is coming. But in the same way as in nature, that which appears to be dead, in a few short months, will be green again, and will be budding with new life. It's the same for us. We appear to be dead, perhaps, but we're not. We're in this desert period right now,
Yes.
where if we create the right conditions, if we create the safe, sacred space for us, new life will be beginning to bloom inside of us.
Yes.
And the reason I suggest that folks go outside in nature is because you get to see it, you get to experience it. And Robin, we both know life, it includes death. It
Yes.
just does.
Yes. Yes. And the thing that I always remind myself is that we're not done with it. You know, we all want to say, well, boy, that death thing was horrible and that's it. But there's more death coming. So it's just important for us to learn how to cope with it and how to handle it better. And I totally believe going outside's great. When my husband died, I was so grateful that he died in August because I was outside at my pool. Yes, I may have been working on it and raking leaves out of it part of the time, but just being outside and feeling the sun on my face and being in the water helped me tremendously. And of course, now it's winter, so it's hard for some people to get out. But just like Tom says, even if it's only for 5 minutes, even if you're in the snow, to just be outside and to enjoy nature helps you to feel alive. So, okay, that's great. Now we got to scoot along. Our clock is ticking. Commit to finding ways to release the heavy, burdensome energy stored in your body. A massage therapist can not only help you physically relax, but he or she can help your body release stored energy and even stored memory that no longer serves you. If you're living in a cold climate, consider a massage with hot stones on a cold winter day. Make an appointment to see a Reiki master or a craniosacral therapist or any other energy worker. At the very least, the physical touch will be healing. Well, Tom, I'm down here in hot old Houston, Texas, but I'll take that hot stone massage any day. I just love it. I love
You
it.
know, after my son Rory died, every Thursday at 10 a.m. for over a year, I had a standing appointment with a massage therapist who
Wow.
also did Reiki. And as
Wow.
I reflect back, that was probably the most significant thing I did that contributed to my healing. So
Wow.
I'm just a huge advocate of taking advantage of folks out
Yes.
there who can
Yes.
help us release all the crap that's inside of our bodies.
Yes. Yes, I gave a friend a massage a couple of years ago, and when she went, the minute they started rubbing on her, she started crying.
It's very, very, very common, and it's wonderful. It's such a
Yes.
great release when people can cry.
Yes. Yes, it's very cleansing, and I loved it because I did a show just last week, and one of the girls, it was about what do the widowed want for Christmas, and one of the girls wanted good health for her children and a massage, and some Santa's little helper surprised her with a massage. We don't know if it's one person, two person, three people, but long story short, this young woman, she's around 30 years old. I'm a single mom of two. She's going to college, just all stressed out. She's going for her first professional massage, and I'm so happy about that. I think that's so great.
Let me share two things. One is, in a lot of areas, there are schools where students study and learn how to become a massage therapist. And very often, they offer very, very, very inexpensive massage therapy sessions with the students. So if money is tight, that may be a direction that folks could move in. And the second thing I wanted to bring up is I'm always stunned when I encounter people who hate to be physically touched by another human being.
Yes.
But they're out there, and so for them, they would recoil at the thought of a massage. So I want to mention the art of reflexology. And for folks that don't know what that is, there are people out there who work on your feet or they'll work on your hands. And if you don't know this, there's a map of your whole body imprinted on the bottom of your foot and on your hand. So someone can literally just massage for an hour all the different areas of your hand, and they can determine
Yes.
that you have tension in your left shoulder
Yes.
or a kink in your right hip.
Yes.
And by working on the correlating spot in your hand,
Yes.
release all of that tension.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
a fascinating thing to research
Yes.
as well.
And I want to add, had that you can request a male or a female, and you can leave on all of your clothes. You can take off all your clothes. You can leave on some of them. Whatever your comfort level is, these massage therapists are trained to work with you. So don't be afraid of that. And if you start small, like Tom said, with just your hands or your feet, or even in a sitting position and just have your shoulders touched. Everyone needs to be touched, and it's amazing how you think you're feeling great and somebody touches a place in your back and you're like, ouch, that hurt. And we really
Yeah.
need that.
And there are folks out there that are so remarkably gifted that
Yes.
they're just able to pinpoint exactly where
Yes.
the deep, deep tension is,
Yes.
and remarkably they can help your body release it.
Yes, absolutely. I'm totally for that. And I'm delighted that I got a massage for Christmas. I must have talked about it so much that I got a massage. So I'm thrilled and excited. I cannot wait to go cash in that little coupon. Okay.
I just got back from Florida, and I had 2 massages
Oh,
at the resort I was at,
oh,
and the last massage, the therapist's name is Jim, and about 20 years ago, Jim was hunting, and he accidentally got shot in the back and laid on the
wow.
ground. He thought he was dying for 6 hours. And as a result of that gun wound, he's paralyzed from about the nipple line down.
Wow.
He's in a wheelchair.
Wow.
He does have the use of both of his hands. And I am not kidding you. It was the most spectacular massage I've ever had. And when he was done, he said, Tom, I don't know if you know this, but that was a one-handed massage. I need to balance myself with my left hand, and I work on you with my right hand. But he is so attuned into his own sensitivity and sensibility that he was able to pinpoint stress in my body that I didn't even know existed.
Well, and I used to have a massage therapist that was blind. It was a guy that had lost his sight from extremely high blood pressure. And he did the best massage in the world. I mean, sometimes he'd kind of bounce around off the table or whatever, but his sense of touch was so developed because he couldn't see. And so maybe that's a great thing to look for is someone that's maybe had some physical issues and maybe they relate more. But nonetheless, get a massage and work out all of that tension because literally we just store it and it does make us feel bad and it does make us feel sick. All right, our clock's ticking, Tom. We're scooting on to the next one, which is commit to spending quiet time with yourself every single day. To simply be with yourself and your new life. Again, even if you have to force yourself to be quiet and alone for 5 minutes, just do it. The universe will back you up. I so love that phrase, Tom. The universe will back you up. And over time, 5 minutes becomes 10, becomes 15, then it's 20, and you keep running from if you keep running from yourself and your new life, how can you live it? How can you consciously participate in it? I love that. Pray, meditate, ask, listen, receive, allow, surrender, feel, oh, and cry. That's so beautiful, Tom. I totally agree with that. That's so great.
I think so often, Robin, we unconsciously and unknowingly just step into kind of like the unspoken rhythm of what
Yes.
people do after their spouse dies.
Yes.
And one of the
Yes.
tenets of that rhythm is we busy ourselves. We throw ourselves back into work, and we just jam pack our schedule. And I understand why people do it. It's not fun to come home to an empty house.
Yes.
It's not fun not to have anything to do Sunday morning anymore, or Saturdays if we're not working.
Yes.
So we get on the treadmill and we just go. And for a lot of people, it's a blessing to walk into the door at the end of the night, have a glass of wine, and just fall exhausted into our bed because we finally can sleep. That's all fine and good. But sooner or later,
Yes.
So we can assess the situation. How's it going? What am I feeling? And we have to enter into, again, or for the first time, a relationship with ourselves. That's what it's all about. And the only way we're going to do that is if we spend quiet time with ourselves.
I totally agree with that. And some people have a lot of children, and some people have their grown families living with them. Their children and their grandchildren are now living with them. I know a lot of people with different situations, and it can be hard to find that quiet time by yourself, but it's good to find it and to feel where you are. That's beautiful. Okay, the next one is commit to writing a gratitude journal every day. First thing in the morning or last thing at night. Just buy a journal, put it by your bed, and write 5 things that you are grateful for every day. And at first, this makes me laugh, but it's true. At first, you may simply be grateful that the day is over, that it's just ending. And it may be just some of the simple things. Be thankful for your soft pillow, your comfortable bed, warm blankets. And then you may remember that the first cup of coffee actually tasted good, and you're grateful for that. There's so many things to be grateful for. Tom, what do you feel is the significance of writing it down?
Oh, you must write it down. You must. And people fight me on this every single day. You must write it down because it's almost like writing it in concrete. The energy that's transferred when you hold a pen in your hand and you get a piece of paper and you tactily feel the paper and you move your arm and the ink flows out of the pen and you record it like for all the world to see. It's very, very important. There's a really beautiful quote, something like, if the only prayer I ever say is thank you, that is enough.
Yes.
The attitude of gratitude in itself is enough to transform us all. So if you do nothing else in 2012 but commit to a gratitude journal, that is key enough to transform your entire life.
I love that. And I think, too, that if you're having a bad day, you can look back and go, oh my gosh, I forgot to be thankful for all the things I was thankful for yesterday and the day before. That's so great. Tom, I can't believe our time is running out.
I know. I want folks to know that this list here is posted on my website, tomzupa.com.
Yes.
So folks can go there, click on A New Year, A New Life, and you can print it out. So what did we get through? 7?
Yes, we did. Yes, and
so there's 3 more that you can go
and I'm going to post the link on my Facebook site too. So, okay, Tom, well, honey, thank you so much for sharing with us. You're so great. You know I love you to pieces, and I wish you a very happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Robin, and to everyone that's listening tonight.
Thank you, sweetie.
Okay, bye-bye.
Good night. I tell you, the time always passes so quickly when I have Tom on. He's so full of wonderful information, and to have gone through so much and to be working hard to help other people get through it, it's just such a source of inspiration. Now, before I forget, I'm giving away a case of Beanitos. These are the wonderful chips made of black beans. They are low glycemic. They've got protein. They've got omega-3s. There's no corn. They're made of beans. So go to my website, RobinCraigDirect.com. I have it up on the screen now. The 10th email that I get, just say Beanitos, is going to win a case, not a bag, but a case of Beanitos. So make sure you go to my website. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you'll join me every Tuesday evening at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. Robin Craig wishing you a very, very happy New Year. If you're not my Facebook friend, please Facebook me and find me on Twitter so we can keep the chat going. I love you to pieces, and I'm going to stay in the chat room for a few minutes afterwards so we can catch up. So you guys have a great evening, and please know how much I appreciate the fact that you were here tonight.